allow me a moment of your time just to rant. But isn't it interesting that after a full year of trying to convince the world that Black Lives Matter, after getting on TV and announcing to everybody that Black lives only matter as it relates to police brutality, after getting in all these suits and standing in front of all these people and letting them know you're going to do things for the cause of Black people, after convincing a bunch of white people that they should care and that if they don't, they're a bunch of evil supremacists that want to hold Black people down, and having to deal with all these white saviors pretending that they know about the Black experience, isn't it interesting that after all that time and all that effort, the Black Lives Matter organization really hasn't been seen by everybody? It's almost as if they accomplished their mission of getting everybody to care about Black lives, when that's not true, because you still have examples that exist of Black people losing their lives from white people and Black people and all other races, because I don't know why people want to pretend the only people that exist in America are Black people and white people. It's funny that this organization now, when they're brought up, it's always something in regards to the money, because for the longest of times, people were trying to figure out, hey, y'all got all that donation money from people who cared, from people who honestly wanted to see Black people in better situations, and it seems like nobody who's in the community has been better off. The only people who have been in better situations are the people who are the head honchos of the organization and their family and their younger individuals who are in the organization, and people who get to benefit from those at the top. Like, for example, Patrice Cullors, who spent all that money for a content creation house and only used it for her son's birthday party and an inauguration party for Joe Biden, and giving money to her baby daddy. Those examples do not benefit the Black community. They only benefit her and the people in her own house, which brings me to this interesting news article that came out very recently. Black Lives Matter leader accused of stealing $10 million from donations and using it as his personal piggy bank. The lawsuit from former colleagues in the damn organization called Shalima Bowers, I'm not pronouncing that ever again, a rogue administrator, a middleman turned usurper. The complaint claimed that Bowers led the Black Lives Matter Global Foundation into multiple investigations by the Internal Revenue Service and various state attorney generals, blazing a path of irreparable harm to BLM in less than 18 months. The lawsuit was filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court on Thursday by a group calling itself Black Lives Grassroots. While BLM leaders and movement workers were on the street risking their lives, Mr. Bowers remained in his cushy office devising a scheme of fraud and misrepresentation to break the implied in fact contract between donors and BLM. The board of directors of the BLM Global Fund denied the accusations in a joint statement. They would rather take the same steps of our white oppressors and utilize the criminal legal system, which is propped up by white supremacy, the same system they say they want to dismantle, to solve the movement disputes. And let me just say this: if you're somebody who genuinely wanted to believe in Black Lives Matter, you joined the organization and you came in with the mindset, all right, let's fix these problems. Good. You have now realized you walked into a scam, and now you're trying to figure out what happened and who's behind it and who got what money and where the money went. And it's interesting. Instead of addressing it head on, instead of wanting to attack the situation, instead of being someone who is credible and somebody who wants to be a leader, you people in that organization want to bring up white supremacy. You want to bring up your oppressors. You want to bring up some people who have nothing to do with this. This is about everybody in the house having a problem. And you not being able to figure it out and not being transparent led to this. A bunch of money being put in random spots that does not benefit a community of people who you promote yourself as caring about, and you use them to get all this money. You are now saying that when you are criticized and you have to go through the legal process, it's just a bunch of people complaining about white supremacy, yet they're using white supremacist tactics to beat you. No, they're tired of this. They're tired of you, and they want to get to the bottom of it. Black Lives Matter Los Angeles co-founder Melina Abdullah told reporters at a media briefing on Thursday that Bowers had shut her out of control of the group's social media accounts. Bowers fired back in a statement accusing Abdullah of financial maleficence and unprincipled decision-making and a leadership style rooted in retribution and intimidation. The BLM Global Foundation was similarly criticized in April when a financial report indicated that they used donation money to buy a $6 million home in Southern California. this is the part that I need everybody to just smile at. Bowers also defended that purchase, saying it was made in order to establish a housing and studio space for black creators. Other activists were upset at the use of the funds. So allow me to ask a number of questions. Number one is the obvious. At what point are any of you going to admit that buying a house for content creation is the dumbest thing you could possibly do? Why? I'll tell you why. Because in all these issues that you bring up about black lives being taken unjustly, police brutality, white supremacy, white oppressors, white guilt, white racism, all these issues the black community faces, what does buying a content creation house do for all of the black community? You have white creators who do the exact same thing and it don't even work out. How do you figure that you could somehow convince a bunch of small content creators who suck at what they do to the point where Asian women got to come in and try to get white people to take a 2-month break in order to get anybody seen on the platform, not realizing that that's not how the game works. That's not how the algorithm works. You cannot automatically push a bunch of random people and expect the wandering eye to say, oh my God, I am now gonna follow you. It's all about what the content creator does and how they get people engaged and how they get people to stay. There's a reason I got 198,000 people, soon to be 200,000, to watch my content and press the red subscription button, because I'm entertaining, because I have something to say, because what I say is not somebody else's thought, it's my own. And if people agree, cool. If they don't, cool. This is a space where anybody could come in and say how they feel as long as it's respectful. I won't go back and forth with a bunch of people whining. I'm only going to go back and forth with people who actually have an argument to make. Now, back to the main point of this video. How is it you feel justified in doing that, yet you get mad when people in-house see this and they question what the hell you're doing? Why? Because you spent all this time standing in front of all these people and saying, we're going to do what is necessary to make sure that black people are respected, that their lives are valued, that everybody sees them and they are protected, yet you're doing things that do a disservice. You do things that don't benefit. You do things that would ultimately look at the organization and say, oh, we did a good job, but the people are saying, what else are you going to do that's important? Nothing has been done that is worth memory. Nothing has been done that is actually substantial. It is just a bunch of people talking and not enough doing, and the things that they're doing are not really benefiting the lower class. They're not benefiting the people who are struggling. They're not benefiting the people who are disenfranchised. They're only benefiting the people in-house. And the honest people in the organization who are seeing that are saying, we didn't had enough. We want to know what's up. We want to know what's going down. We want to know who's doing what with the money, because a lot of people based on this don't really know. They just sitting next to a bunch of people who claim to know, and that's the problem. This ain't about white supremacist tactics. It's about getting an answer. And if you're so uncomfortable with somebody getting an answer from you and you get mad when they try to go through the legal system, guess what? Maybe you should be a little bit more transparent about the information. Maybe instead of crying about some pregnant woman showing up at your front door trying to get some answers and then crying, oh my God, they're attacking us. They just want to separate us all. Answer the damn questions and move on with your day. It would be that easy. It would be that simple. But because criticism is something a lot of these people don't really understand, they're going to whine, they're going to cry, they're going to gaslight in order to manipulate the easiest of souls to get them to say, hey, don't do this to them because they're actually doing the work for black people. They're doing the work that's necessary to make sure that black people succeed in this life. Yet nobody answers the question about the money. It's been documented. It's been talked about. It's been used to gaslight people when you have one of the owners or founders, whatever you want to call her, saying tax documents are triggering to her.
So much clarity for me, a questioning for me. I don't know if I have clarity or answers yet, but I'm like, wow, this doesn't seem safe for us. This 990 structure, this nonprofit system structure, this is like deeply unsafe. Like this is being literally weaponized against us, against the people we work with. I can't tell you how many people are like, am I next? Like, are they going to do this to me? So there's not a lot of, that's like when you know this, you run an organization, like people's morale in an organization is so important.
Yes.
But if their organization and the people in it are being attacked and scrutinized at everything they do, that leads to deep burnout. That leads to deep like resistance and trauma. And so I think that other piece for me around, you know, what I think is important for people to understand is, and it's connected to this question, but there is a misinformation and disinformation effort to not just challenge Black Lives Matter and the organization, but it's an experiment. If they win, then it's the next Black-led organization.
Yes, it is.
And then it's the next Black-led organization, and it's the next Black person who's leading that. And so it's so important that we pay attention to what's happening, and we don't allow for they have this they know what they're doing, like how to create the infighting, how to create the distrust. We have to stop it. We have to stop it before they do it. We have to shut it down. We have to be showing up against it. And so that has been really important to me too, like taking the time to kind of stand back and watch it happening and being like, oh, this is how this works. Like we are literally the experiment right now.
And now that the smoke is now hitting the fan again, you have somebody saying, oh, this is all white supremacist tactics. I thought you all wanted to dismantle this. Guess what? You're not really going to get rid of lawyers coming to figure out what the problem is. Lawyers and trying to figure out what's going on through the legal system is not really rooted in white supremacy. It's rooted in you not being transparent with the people in your organization. So here's my blind hope. I hope after all this time and all this effort put in, people understand that this organization has some shady tactics in it. Whether if it's the organization as a whole or just the words or somebody offshoot doing something random and pretending to care about Black lives for some money, a random church pastor calling y'all broke because y'all can't afford to pay him. It's always something in the background that y'all gotta pay attention to. And guess what? Millions of donated money that's not being used for the Black community is a problem. And if you don't want to address that, if you don't want to concede that that's a problem, congratulations. Continue to be getting bent over and letting them play with your body and letting them prey on your emotions, because that's all you're worth to them, your money and your emotions. And their ability to manipulate that is the funniest thing possible, because after all this time and all these examples and all the proof that exists, people will still, when it's time to care about Black lives again, throw all their money at them. Why? Because they think that they're doing a good job. When in reality, it's nothing more than a pipe dream, because no matter how much y'all want to talk about this, no matter how much y'all claim to care, it's still a bunch of people scamming at the top. You cannot disprove this because it's already been proven. I would say I feel bad, but I don't, because I've said this organization has been a scam for the longest of times, because if they weren't, they'd care about a bunch of Black lives being taken away unjustly. They'd care about any situation where a Black life is treated unfairly. They'd look at any situation not based on race, but based on the circumstance of the life taken unjustly and say, let's get justice for this person. But because you can only bring up a few names that have been broadcasted on TV and talked about with all these people in these suits, it always amazes me how people continue to say Black Lives Matter when they know, and the people in the suits know, and people on TV know, and maybe some of you know that's not really true, and it's the most inconsistent lie on the planet. So with all that being said, I hope BLM and all these founders and all these foundations come into financial ruin and they are scrutinized until the end of time, because how dare you prey on Black lives and expect karma to never bite you in your ass. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Fuck BLM.